everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we've got the setup for a solo gameplay of Dawn of Peacekeepers. Now, I have not played this game yet. This is a game that it's a campaign and everything it's got a lot of spoilers in it. So as I'm setting this up and as I'm playing it, it'll be my very first time. So it's entirely possible I'll get a couple of rules wrong. I do plan on doing at least a how to play video for the initial portion of this game, all the initial base rules. So whenever that comes out, that will have all the rules really set in stone the way they're supposed to be. But if you do see any rules that get wrong, please let me know. But this should be pretty close. I've read through the rules a couple times already, so I think I'll get pretty close. Let's get down to the setup. I'm really excited to get into this and see exactly how this is going to work, how this campaign is going to work. It should be a lot of fun. So here we go. All right, here we go. So the first thing we do is set the game board out. You can see we've got it on the, I don't know if this is a plains or forest, but it's the green side. The other side looks more like a desert side, but we're gonna start out here on the green side of the board. All right, so here we go. Now we've got the terrain set out. So you can see over here on the right side of the board, we have some forest. This symbol means stealth. Let me bring this up so you can see a little better. That symbol right there, kind of the mask, means stealth. And so if a creature is in the forest, basically they can only be attacked by a creature that is also in the forest. All right, so then as we move this way, you see we have this river now that comes down here, starts up here at this fountain. Every one of these river tiles has this, what looks like a shattered shield on it. That actually stands for a condition called shatter. Basically, by being in the river, and you can see actually right here, the bridge does not have that shatter symbol. So a unit that's on one of these tiles has +1 shatter, which means any damage dealt to that creature, one additional damage is dealt. Basically having -1 defense, you could say. Kind of the same idea there. Then moving over here, we have these kind of stone, what is that called exactly? They are rock formations, all right? And in the rock formations, there's plenty of cover. And so you can see that down there at the bottom, we have the shield. So any creature in the rock formations gains +1 defense. And finally, down here, we have this tower, which also you can see +1 defense. But then right here, that means that any unit that occupies that tower, that side's motivation will increase by 1. You raise the motivation by 1, and I'll get into how the motivation works here in just a minute. All right, so now I've got the minis out. As I set this up, I'm obviously going to be adjusting the view a little bit, trying to find the best way to show this to you. But so right now, we've got these minis out. Over here, this is going to be the Scarlet Mccall faction in the blue. We've got these 3 guys are all the same. They are, you can see this mini right here, which is the Mccall Soldier. It's a common unit. You can see it has 1 star for the rank there, 3 attack, 2 range, 0 defense, and 5 health. All 3, this guy and these 2 guys, are all exactly the same. They do have different bases. This one and this one have a round base, and you can see this guy as well as the commander over here have kind of a, I guess you'd say, cog-shaped base or some sort of, kind of star shape there. And that'll become clear what the differences in the shapes mean as we get into playing. So this guy here is Commander Sochi, I guess we'll say. 3 attack, 2 range, 1 defense, 8 health, and he has this ability, Cautious Leader. If Sochi is injured, lower his side's motivation. Is that what it's called again? I believe it's motivation by 1 step. Injured, it means if he hits half health or less. So once he receives 4 damage, he'd be considered injured. You can see his rank is 3 stars up there. Okay. Let's see. So, real quick. Also, this, not a huge concern for me. It wasn't this guy, but one of them, their feet one of them popped off a little bit when I was trying to place it into the base, into this blue base. So something just to keep in mind when you get it, that they could be a little fragile at where it connects with the plastic base. Not a huge problem for me. I have plastic glue, you know, because I put together a lot of my Kingdom Death miniatures, and I use that glue whenever I put them together. So I'm not too concerned about that. Now let's see what we've got over here with these guys. We've got the Ocelot Warrior here, 3 attack, 2 range, 0 defense, 5 health. So exactly the same as the Mccall Warrior. Let's see this guy right here. You can see he's got those double swords or daggers, whatever he's got. Got a shield on the back there. All right. And, or is that a shield, or, yeah, I think it's a shield. He still has 0 defense though. And then we've got down here, we've got this archer. Let's see there, he's got that bow. A little bit of backstory on the lore. The Ocelots were actually the first ones to create the bow, so their archers are a step above the rest. You can see 3 attack, 3 range, 0 defense, and 5 health. So they don't have a commander the way the Maccalls do. And when we get into the actual gameplay video after the setup here, I'll go into some of the backstory as to why that might be. But anyway, so now we've got these guys set up, and you can see this one and the archer and this warrior both have the same base, whereas this guy has a slightly different base. All right, so now, like I said, I'm going to be doing some rearranging as I get things set up. So what we've got here are the sideboards, all right? So not cyborgs, sideboards. All right, so these numbers across the bottom here, as you can see here and here, are the motivation for the different sides. So the Maccalls right now have 6 motivation, whereas the Ocelots have 4 motivation. If we get down into the green area here, the 1 or the 2 for either one, then that means they are, I believe it's called considering withdrawal. Hold on, let me see. Or they're ready to withdraw. And that's going to be important for the win condition of the scenario, basically in that to win, I need to have both units, or I'm sorry, both sides down in the green area, both of them ready to withdraw. At that point, I've managed to make peace between the 2 sides. But so we start up here at 6. Now, if either side ends up in the red, that means they have been defeated and my mission has been lost, because what I'm trying to do is not help one side win or lose. I'm trying to bring peace between the 2 sides. Also, you can see these 2 dials here. The Ocelots have an arrow pointing that way. The Maccalls have an arrow pointing that way. That's just to remind me of the movement rules. When they intend to move, they will move in, the Maccalls move in this direction, the Ocelots in this direction. Also, there's some additional movement rules, such as they have to always moving at least a little bit closer to an enemy and stuff like that. And they may have targets and that sort of thing, but we'll get into that as we get deeper into that. Oh, and 2 quick terrain notes. I said down here that the stealth, you had to be on the same tile to attack an enemy, but in fact, it's the same tile or adjacent. So right here, you could attack somebody with stealth. And then also over here, this tile, remember, it gives 1 motivation. Well, that's already included in the starting motivation for the Ocelot. So in fact, if this Ocelot were to move off of the tower, then their motivation would actually go down 1, because they'd be stepping off of that tile. It gives them that motivation bonus. Okay, so now what we've added to the setup is we have the order cards, and there's 2 types of order cards, ploy and task. And when the game begins, I'll draw 1 of each. And so each time that the Mccall, operate, they'll have a ploy and a task that come together to make 1 order. And you know what, let me just give you an example here, and then I'll reshuffle these. So for instance, in this case, it would be twin strike. All right, so you can see it has a speed, which could affect how it whether it goes before or after whatever the Ocelots do. And each unit in this group, which in this case is the blue group, each unit in this group has -1 range until the end of this round. Resolve this order's task again immediately after resolving it the first time. And again, the task is this one. All right, so attack with units in the circle group. So that would mean that this one and this one would attack if possible. They have -1 range, and so you can see where are they right here. That would give them 1 range, so they in fact would not be able to attack. And so in this case, nothing would happen here, unless of course the Ocelots had an order that made them move 1 step closer, and then these guys. And you know, assuming that would be a faster speed, because there's 3 different speeds: slow, medium, and fast. I think we'll see as we play. But anyway, so right now they couldn't attack, but if the Ocelots went first and moved closer, then obviously they could. And because it's twin, this would happen twice. So even though the range is less, it could be devastating. All right, so I'll reshuffle these, and you can see I've got the Ocelot ploy and task cards up here. Also, I've got my reference card out here, which helps to, you can see attack prioritizing closest enemy unit, then most damaged enemy unit, then lowest ranked, and then randomly with a die roll. And back here, multiple simultaneous attacks against the same target are combined into a single attack. If there's you can get these bonus tokens for defense called fortification, I believe, and then adjusting incoming damage based on targets. Defense bonuses and shatter, not really bonuses, negations, I guess, whatever. And then place damage tokens near the target. If damage equals or exceeds the unit's health, remove the unit from the board and lower that side's motivation by 1. Defeating that side's last leader drops their motivation directly to 0. So that's something to keep in mind, that if the commander over here dies, then automatically the Ocelots have defeated the Maccalls, and I lose the game. So next up, we have the resource deck set out. I've shuffled it, and now each player gains 2 resource cards. Obviously, I'm the only player, so I will gain 2. And right off the bat, let's see what we've got here. We've got Emergency Care. All right, so this card, the way cards work is there's going to be up to 3 different things here. As you can see here, I only have 2. And then there's also this ability down here, which, let me see what it's actually called. The ability on these cards is called the Scheme Effect. All right, so basically this is called Emergency Care. I can play it to get 2 movement, or I can play it to provide 2 fortification to Companion. Now, Companion is anyone who is on the same space as me, basically, another adventurer or a unit. All right, so the minis that the characters that the players use are called adventurers. These are the units on the board. All right, so we can be in the same spaces as units. They're not our enemies. They don't want to hurt us. They don't attack us. But we can provide them with fortification to try to help keep them alive. Because again, we're trying to make peace here. And then the scheme for the scheme for Emergency Care is choose one of your damaged companion units and remove 2 damage tokens from it. All right, and then over here we have 2 movement or 2 fortification or food poisoning. Choose one of your undamaged companion units, give it 2 damage tokens. So you can see sometimes we might decide that actually damaging some of these guys is going to be helpful, because remember, if some of them do die, then we can start lowering their motivation and get them down into the green, hopefully. Getting them down into the green is our goal. So kind of gotta play both sides of that, I suppose, because we have food poisoning. Food poisoning and Emergency Care. Now, also real quick, down here is where the resource discard pile is. Not super important that you see that, but just keep in mind that's where these cards will be going as I play them. Okay, and then also up here near the top of the board is where I'm just going to have my general supply. These discs are the damage tokens. These cubes are the fortification tokens. And then we have this custom die with the circles and the stars, and then the cogs for the various symbols on here, different numbers and stuff like that. So now I need to decide which one of these guys I'm going to play. We have Tumbatro, who is a gold dust day gecko from Madagascar. Resourceful wanderer, has traveled all over the world and gathered a wealthy amount of knowledge and useful tricks into his arsenal. Resembles a younger me quite... Okay, so there's, by the way, these 4 guys are being recruited by this guy, Mirren, who's the one really trying to prevent this war from breaking out between the Maccalls and the Ocelots, and again, I'll give you that backstory at the beginning of the next video when we start the gameplay. Resembles younger me quite a bit. His creativity and resourcefulness could save the day. Then over here we've got Akezan, a phoenix fox from Northern Africa. Unverified, could be fake, the Northern Africa part. Charismatic liar and impersonator, a wandering storyteller, infamous for her various dupes and swindling, but is always able to talk herself out of trouble. Her rhetoric skills set could be very useful. Over here we've got Nabo, marbled polecat from Rheinstum. Daring collector, well known in his home country for his daring and lucrative adventures. Hunts and collects relics and artifacts from around the world. His fearlessness and initiative are qualities needed right now. And then finally we have Yenar, Agami Heron from Sak-Alhu, which is the nation of the Ocelots, actually. I believe that's right. Yes, the Ocelot nation is Sak-Alhu. Tireless field scholar, a local with good relationships with both the Mccalls and the Ocelots. On her travels has compiled various books about the nature and varied cultures of South America, which is where all of this is taking place, by the way. Her knowledge and contacts should prove vital for success. Okay, so I have decided to be Yenar since she actually is a scholar of this region. She's actually from this region. I think that she has the most to lose in this battle, and therefore in this potential war, and therefore the most to gain by trying to prevent it. She's invested in it, so I'm going to go with Yenar. And so she actually starts right here in between these two sides, and we have this envelope. Stop. Open this. Come on. Open this envelope before playing the first scenario if you choose Yenar as your adventurer. To Yenar. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so that's some pretty serious glue on there. I ended up going and getting a knife because I was afraid I was going to just rip the whole envelope open. So here we go. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. All right. May 2nd, 3329. To Yenar, I am Marin, a former Axikuk imperial advisor from the time when Wayanar of Tarachasi was in power. Now, Axikuk, I believe, let me double check, I believe that's the Mccall, yes, that's the Mccall Empire that these guys are sort of part of, which again, we'll get into that at the beginning of the next video. I am Marin, a former Axikuk imperial advisor from the time when Wayanar of Tarachasi was in power. We met briefly a little while ago in 3314, so what's that, like 15 years ago, when I was visiting the Kurehak region in Sak-Alhu. I am contacting you because of the situation between Axikuk and Sak-Alhu, our home. Surely you have noticed the tensions have risen and the fear of war clouds the minds of many. My intention is to stop the war before it even begins, and I need your skills and knowledge to do that. My plan is to maintain my network of information and contacts while also delivering you instructions and tactics. Yes, you would be working in the field alongside the two factions, influencing them and subtly directing them towards the path of peace. They both have probably heard of you, but your reputation, along with mine, would act as your shield. For your knowledge of the area and its animal folks will make you a valuable asset to both of them. I believe that should you choose to help me, your biggest motivator would be the peace of your home continent. In addition, you would receive full access to my personal archives. You wouldn't be working alone though, as I have contacted some other individuals with remarkable skills and talents. I am sure they will be effective, but you'll have to realize that if they show up, it will be because of the rewards I've promised them. I believe and hope they will be trustworthy allies. Once you've collected those who accepted my offer from the end of the Ayazan, make your way to the Hayako region and find the Northern Ocelot Watchtower. I have reason to believe that is where Kuchia will strike first. I like how I was kind of right there. It actually is part of the story that that she is invested in this region, and that's why she's actually doing this. All right, and so then the next thing is if we had multiple players, the rulebook actually states that the player who most recently avoided a conflict will be given the starting player token, but obviously we're playing solo, so that doesn't apply here. But now we are set up and ready to go. So there you go, that's the setup. When we come back, we will start the gameplay. I'll give you the backstory for what's happening in this scenario, and it should be a good time. I think I can fit the whole thing in one additional video. So come back in a few days, be looking for it, and until then, if you're bored online, board offline.